Hi, in this video we will read about metabolic liver disorders. First, we will start with the alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. It is a commonly inherited metabolic liver disorder, less common in India compared to the West. Its inheritance is autosomal recessive, and the gene defect is the SERPINA1 gene on the chromosome number 14q. Fine, which gene? SERPINA1 gene for alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Production of a misfolded form of alpha 1 antitrypsin occurs. Fine. Misfolded form of this alpha 1 antitrypsin. What is the normal role of alpha 1 antitrypsin? It is produced from the liver, goes into the blood, then into the lungs, and it protects in the lung tissues from the neutrophil elastase. It is the enzyme. Fine. It is an enzyme, neutrophil elastase. In alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, misfolded alpha 1 antitrypsin is produced, which gets accumulated in the liver and cause toxic damage to the liver cells and cannot enter the lungs, cause destruction. Destruction is caused by the neutrophil elastase, causing pan-acinar emphysema. Fine. So, what is happening in this alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency? Damage to the liver cells is occurring. Along with that, pan-acinar emphysema is also occurring. Okay. Due to pan-acinar emphysema is occurring due to which enzyme? The enzyme is neutrophil elastase. Moving ahead, phenotypic expression of the alpha 1 antitrypsin. In normal phenotype, PIMM is produced, that is protease inhibitor. MM is the normal allele. But in the abnormal phenotype, PIZZ, ZZ is the ZZ is the abnormal allele. Now coming to the features that will be seen in the alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. First one is the liver damage, as we already saw, because of this accumulation of the misfolded alpha 1 antitrypsin. So in 80 to 85% of the cases, the liver recovers completely. Only 15 to 20% cases develop chronic liver disease. But it's still a big number, right? The 15 to 20% of cases is developing chronic liver disease. Second one is the pan-acinar emphysema. Does not develop in the childhood. It develops in the adults by 30 to 40 years of the age. Smoking increases the risk of development of the pan-acinar emphysema. Investigations में firstly we have to check the levels of alpha 1 antitrypsin levels. If it is low, less than 50 to 80 mg per dl, then if it is less than 50 to 80 mg per dl, then its levels are called low. Second one is the gene testing, SERPINA1 gene. Third one is the on liver biopsy. We can see the misfolded alpha 1 antitrypsin as intrahepatic globular inclusions in the liver on the PAS stain, that is periodic acid shift positive stain, and diastase resistance is also seen. Fine. So this misfolded alpha 1 antitrypsin, which is seen as intrahepatic globular inclusions, are PAS positive. Now coming to the treatment of this alpha 1 antitrypsin, mainly supportive treatment is given, limiting the exposure to the tobacco smoke. In adults, infusion therapy with the normal alpha 1 antitrypsin collected from the healthy individuals can be done. And in chronic liver disease, if chronic liver disease develops, then the liver transplant needs to be done. Fine. This is what we read about alpha 1 antitrypsin. Mainly two organs. First, it is an autosomal recessive. Second, by SERPINA1 gene on the chromosome number 14q. Affects mainly two organs, liver and lungs. In liver, there will be toxic damage to the liver cells, causing chronic liver disease in 20% of the cases, and in the rest, the liver recovers completely. And then, due to destruction by the neutrophil elastase, there is pan-acinar emphysema. It develops in adults by 30 to 40 years of the age, and smoking increases the risk of developing this pan-acinar emphysema. Alpha 1 antitrypsin levels are low. Genetic testing, we can see the SERPINA1 gene, and on liver biopsy, intrahepatic globular inclusions, which are PAS positive. Treatment supportive, limiting the tobacco smoke, infusion therapy by alpha 1 antitrypsin, and on if chronic liver disease develops, liver transplant. Now coming to the second disease, that is the Wilson's disease. The gene defect is the ATP7B gene on the chromosome number 13. This is very important to remember, and it's very confusing also, because there is also ATP7A gene and ATP7B gene. See, A gene is associated with Menkes disease and B gene is associated with Wilson's disease. Just remember by alphabetical order. M comes first, so ATP7A gene. W comes later, so ATP7B gene. This gene codes for the P-type adenosine triphosphatase. Normal role. What is the normal role of this uh, P-type adenosine triphosphate? Is the excretion of excess copper into the bile. So excess copper is excreted into the bile, and incorporation of copper with ceruloplasmin, copper binding protein, and bound copper in the blood is non-toxic. Fine. So it is binding the copper to the ceruloplasmin, and then the bound copper is non-toxic. But what happens in the Wilson's disease? Impaired excretion of the copper in the bile, leading to the accumulation of copper in the liver. Because of this impaired excretion of copper in the bile, there is accumulation of copper in the liver causing liver damage, and increased levels of the unbound or free copper in the blood is toxic. We read, right? Bound copper is non-toxic, so unbound copper or free copper is toxic. Now coming to the clinical features of the Wilson's disease. Chronic liver disease, cirrhosis of the liver, age at presentation is usually more than 1 to 2 years. Eye damage, that is the Kayser-Fleischer ring in the cornea due to the deposition of the copper in the Descemet's membrane. Cataract is the sunflower cataract. Fourth one is the neurological manifestation, basal ganglia damage, and the psychiatric manifestations. Fine, so these were the clinical features of Wilson's disease. Let's revise it fast. Cirrhosis and the chronic liver disease, more than 1 to 2 years. Eye damage due to the that is called as the Kayser-Fleischer ring due to copper deposition in the Descemet's membrane, sunflower cataract, and on neurological manifestation there is basal ganglia damage leading to the abnormal movements, tremors, and seizures, and psychiatric manifestation. First feature of the brain damage noted in the children with the Wilson's disease is the deterioration of the scholastic performance. This is the first feature of the brain damage. Fine. Childhood onset Wilson's disease classically presents with the chronic liver manifestation. Okay. Childhood onset Wilson's disease. This classically presents with what? Chronic liver manifest one. Chronic liver manifestation. Adult onset Wilson's disease presents with the neurological manifestation. Fine. This is important to remember. Childhood onset Wilson's, chronic liver manifestations, and adult onset Wilson's presents with neurological manifestation. What are the other manifestations of the Wilson's disease? Copper mediated hemolysis of the RBCs, that is negative Coombs test will be seen, and arthralgia. Fine. So there can be hemolysis even in the Wilson's disease and arthralgia. What are the investigations that need to be done in the Wilson's? First one is the screening investigations. Urine copper is increased, serum ceruloplasmin is decreased. Fine, urine copper is increased and serum ceruloplasmin is decreased. Confirmatory investigation. This was the screening test. Fine, this was the screening investigation. Now, what is the confirmatory investigation? Confirmatory investigation is first one, the liver biopsy. There will be what will be seen on the liver biopsy in Wilson's: macrovesicular steatosis, Mallory-Hyland bodies, but they are not very specific. Most common condition associated with the Wilson's disease, associated with the presence of Mallory body in the liver biopsy in children, is the Wilson's disease. An assessment of the copper levels in the liver tissue leads to what? Increased more than 250 mg per gram dry weight of the liver tissue. Treatment is decrease the copper levels in the body by limiting the amount of the copper in the diet. Fine. What will be seen in the liver biopsy? That is, decrease the copper levels in the body. On treatment, what we need to do is decrease the copper levels in the body by limiting the amount of copper in the diet, and copper chelating agents can be used. What are the copper chelating agents? It is the penicillamine, which is drug of choice in children. There is something called triantine, and zinc induces the production of Thiamine, which inhibits the absorption of the copper from intestine. Chronic liver disease or the cirrhosis. In this case, we need to do the liver transplantation, and chronic usage of this D-penicillamine leads to the deficiency of vitamin B6. So D-penicillamine should always be prescribed along with vitamin B6 to prevent the development of optic neuritis. Let's revise what we read in Wilson's in the fastest manner possible. So ATP7B gene on the chromosome number 13, a gene codes for the P-adenosine triphosphatase. There is excretion of copper. Normal role of this gene is excretion of copper and the binding the copper, excess copper, free copper to the ceruloplasmin. But in Wilson's disease, there is impaired excretion of the copper, leading to accumulation of the copper in the liver, causing the liver damage, and the unbound or the free copper increases, which is toxic to the body. Clinical features: there will be chronic liver disease or the cirrhosis of the liver. Age at the presentation is usually more than 1 to 2 years. Eye damage: case of flesh swelling in the cornea due to the deposition of the copper in the Descemet's membrane. Cataract: there is sunflower cataract. Neurological manifestation: basal ganglia damage, and the psychiatric manifestation. First feature of the brain damage is the deterioration of the scholastic performance. Childhood onset Wilson's classically presents with the chronic liver manifestation, and adult onset Wilson's presents with neurological manifestation. Other manifestations are copper-mediated hemolysis of the RBCs and arthralgia. On investigation, the screening test is the urine copper, which is increased, and serum ceruloplasmin, which is decreased. Confirmatory investigation is the liver biopsy, macrovesicular steatosis, and the Mallory-Hyaline bodies, which is not very specific. But the most common condition associated with the presence of Mallory body in the liver biopsy in children is the Wilson's disease. Assessment of the copper level in the liver tissues increased to more than 250 mg per gram dry weight of the liver is called as the increased. This is considered as the increased. What? More than 250 mg per gram. Treatment: decrease the copper levels in the body by limiting the amount of the copper in the diet and by the copper chelating agents. Zinc, D-penicillamine, and triantine. Zinc induces the production of metallothionein, which inhibits the absorption of copper from the intestine. Chronic usage of this D-penicillamine leads to deficiency of this vitamin B6, so this needs to be prescribed along with D-penicillamine to prevent the development of optic neuritis. Now coming to the glycogen storage disorders. This one is the third condition. Right. First we read about the alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, then the Wilson's disease, and now the third one is the glycogen storage disorder. There are two types of glycogen storage disorder: liver glycogen storage disorders and the muscle glycogen storage disorder. GSD1 comes under liver, and GSD2 comes under muscle. Then again GSD3 comes under liver, and 4 also comes under liver, but 5-1, that is the McArdle's disease, comes under muscle. 6 again comes under liver, and 7 comes under Torrey's disease. Let's read about them. GSD1, that is called as the von Gerke's disease. There is glucose 6 phosphatase deficiency, and this is the most common type overall. GSD1. GSD2, which is the muscle glycogen storage disease, that is also known as the Pompe's disease, and there is acid maltase deficiency. GSD3, which is known as the Cory's disease. How can we remember that GSD3 is Cory's disease? Wait, how can we remember? 1 is the von Gerke disease. 1 means first one, von. You know that WON, winner. That's why first. Second one, how can we remember? Pompe's is the second. There are 2 P's. It's very lame. If you know something better to remember, let me know. Third one, how can we remember? C is the third letter of the alphabet. Right, that's how we can remember that the GSD3 is the Cory's disease. And from C we can remember D branching enzyme deficiency. In the GSD5, that is the McArdle's disease, there is muscle phosphorylase deficiency, and most common muscle glycogen storage disorder is the GSD5. That is the McArdle's disease. Now GSD4, Anderson's disease. How can we remember? Again a lame trick, that Ander has 4 sons. and also like A, B, we can remember in Anderson's disease there is branching enzyme deficiency. Seventh one is the Toddy's disease, phosphofructokinase deficiency, and sixth one is the Hirsch disease, liver phosphorylase. Moving ahead, common features of the liver glycogen storage disorder and the muscle glycogen storage disorders are: in the liver GSD there is fasting hypoglycemia, so there can be hypoglycemic seizures, and there can be hepatomegaly also. In the muscle GSD there is exertional fatigue and recovery of the fatigue with the rest, that is second wind phenomena. Fine. Fasting hypoglycemia, hypoglycemic seizures, hepatomegaly, and in the muscle GST there is exertional fatigue, that is leading to the recovery of the fatigue with the rest. This is called as the second wind phenomena. Moving ahead to GST1, that is the von Gerthes disease. There is deficiency of the glucose 6 phosphatase enzyme, overall most common type. We have already read this pathway, right? Glucose gets converted to glucose 6 phosphate, and by the alternate pathway it goes to pentose 6 pathway, then furin, then uric acid, and then hyperuricemia, and pyruvate, which then goes to this acetyl coenzyme A, increase in the fatty acid hyperlipidemia, and this pyruvate also converts to lactate, causing the lactic acidosis. And this glucose 6 phosphatase gets converted to glucose, and if this decreases, it is leading to hypoglycemia. Also, the phosphate part here causes the hepatomegaly. So what are the features of the GST1, von Gerthes disease? There is characteristic round facies, doll-like facies will be seen in von Gerthes disease. There is abdominal distension, that is hepatomegaly, seen. On biochemical findings, what will be seen? Hyperuricemia, lactic acidosis, and hyperlipidemia. And on USG, what is seen? Hepatomegaly and renomegaly. What is the treatment of this? Frequent feeding, nighttime nasogastric feeds need to be done. 1 second. Let's remember this first. First, let's see this baby. Look at this baby, very cute doll-like facies, and we can slightly see the abdominal distension here. What can we see in the biochemical findings that we just here read? Hyperuricemia, lactic acidosis, and hyperlipidemia. These three findings will be seen. And on USG, we already saw, right? There was hepatomegaly and renomegaly. And on treatment, what we need to do, because there was risk of seizures, right? Hypoglycemic seizures. So we need to give frequent feeding every 2 to 3 hours to prevent the episodes of fasting hypoglycemia. This is the first thing that we need to keep in mind. Second one is nighttime. We need to give nasogastric drip feeds for infants. Fine, because we have to give feed every 2 to 3 hours. Uncooked cornstarch in every meal because it releases small amounts of the glucose at the frequent intervals. That's why we need to give this uncooked cornstarch, because glycogen is not being stored in these children, right? So there is um, no storage of glycogen, so no alternate source of energy other than glucose. Other children, waxy maize heat modified starch to prevent overnight episodes of hypoglycemia. Now coming to the next condition, first we read about this glycogen storage disorder, that is GSD1, von Gerthes disease. Second one that we are going to read about is the GSD3, that is Cory's or the Forbes disease. There is deficiency of the D branching enzyme, right? We remember like C and D. What are the features? Some cases can also have muscle involvement, no biochemical abnormality, no renomegaly, splenomegaly is present. Now the third one we are going to read about is the Anderson's disease. Like how we remember, Ender has 4 sons. So the Anderson's is GSD4, deficiency of the branching enzyme. How we remembered, A and B. Liver damage and early onset cirrhosis is seen, and this has the worst prognosis. Imagine a person having 4 sons. Definitely worst prognosis. That was just fun intended, nothing to mind. Moving ahead, GSD2, Pompe's disease. deficiency, acid maltase deficiency is seen. Also a lysosomal storage disorder. We read, right? It was on the second side, on the second part of that table, lysosomal storage disorder. Pompe's disease is also, along with being a glycogen storage disorder, is also a lysosomal storage disorder. Skeletal muscle and the cardiac muscles are affected in this Pompe's disease. It is very important to remember that the cardiac muscles are also affected. So there is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy leading to the cardiac failure. Liver is also involved. Also there is macroglossia, severe hypotonia. There is floppy infant. Poor prognosis, and enzyme is the enzyme replacement therapy can be done. So yeah, it's a DD of a floppy infant, right? We can keep in mind that whenever we see a floppy infant, Pompe's disease is one of the DD, because it is also a lysosomal disorder and the glycogen storage disorder. So there are skeletal muscle and cardiac muscles are affected, and there can be hypertrophic cardiomyopathy leading to cardiac failure. Also there is macroglossia and severe hypotonia. Moving ahead to the next condition, there is tyrosinemia. We read about alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, Wilson's disease, glycogen storage disorder, and now the fourth one, that is tyrosinemia. There is defect in the tyrosine metabolic pathway. It is of three types, and type 1 is the more common. What is seen in the type 1 tyrosinemia? It is autosomal recessive. Deficiency of fumarate acetoacetate hydrolase. In type 1 tyrosinemia, what is the deficiency of PA? Fumarate acetoacetate hydrolase. This is the metabolic pathway of tyrosine. Tyrosine gets converted to 4-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate by TAT, then to the homosynthesate by 4-HPPD, then to the malioacetoacetate, then to the fumarate acetoacetate, then to fumarate and acetoacetate, and also to the succinyl acetoacetate, leading to increase in the succinyl acetone. Increased levels of the fumarate acetoacetate and succinyl acetone leading to, so in this condition, that is tyrosinemia, there is increase of what? Increased levels of this fumarate acetoacetate and succinyl acetone, leading to first liver damage and kidney damage to the kidney PCT. In liver damage, what is happening? There is chronic liver disease, CLD, cirrhosis, and HCC, hepatocellular carcinoma can occur, and the tumor marker is what? Alpha, increase in the levels of alpha fetoprotein. Damage to the kidney PCT leading to the Fanconi-like syndrome. Type 1 tyrosinemia, also known as the hepatorenal tyrosinemia. Right, so this type 1 tyrosinemia is also known as hepatorenal tyrosinemia. Why? Because there are both the hepato and renal manifestation. What is the liver manifestation? That is the hepato manifestation. There can be this chronic liver disease, cirrhosis, or HCC. And what is the tumor marker for HCC? It's alpha fetoprotein. And there is also damage to the kidney PCT, like Fanconi-like syndrome. That's why type 1 tyrosinemia is also known as hepatorenal tyrosinemia. Also, there are recurrent episodes of the neuropathy involving the limbs. Severe pain in the limbs associated with the vomiting. Urine odor, how is it? It is boiled cabbage odor due to the accumulation of the methionine metabolites. Fine, what is it? Urine odor is boiled cabbage-like odor due to the accumulation of this methionine metabolites. Fine. What? Now, how do we diagnose it? Succinyl acetone levels in the urine is increased. That's how we diagnose it. We read right here what was increasing: fumarate acetoacetate and the succinyl acetone. So the succinyl acetone levels are increased in the urine, leading to the diagnosis. Now, what is the treatment of tyrosinemia? Reduce intake of phenylalanine and tyrosine in the diet. There is something called as the nitisinone, which is nitisinone, which is the drug of choice, inhibits the 4-HPPD, 4-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate dioxygenase. Now coming to the tyrosinemia type 2. Whatever we read right now was about type 1. Now this is about type 2. There is deficiency of the TAT, that is tyrosine aminotransferase. What are the features of this? There is corneal ulcers, there is palmoplantar keratosis, there is keratoderma. Wait, there is keratoderma. So yeah, these are the features of tyrosinemia type 2, and there is deficiency of both which enzyme? TAT enzyme. TAT is tyrosine aminotransferase. What will be seen? Corneal ulcers will be seen, palmoplantar keratosis, keratoderma, that is thick, rough skin. There will be painful non-pruritic lesions, also known as the oculocutaneous tyrosinemia. This one, type 2 tyrosinemia, is also known as the oculocutaneous tyrosinemia, and there are neurological dysfunctions also. Now coming to the third type, there is tyrosinemia type 3, which is least common type, and there is deficiency of 4-HPPD enzyme. There is neurological manifestations of developmental delay, ataxia, and seizures. In both the type 2 and the type 3 tyrosinemia, liver and the renal functions are normal. Now coming to the galactosemia, autosomal recessive and galactose metabolism. Galaxitol, galactose, and galactonate. So this is the galactose metabolism by this GALC enzyme, that is the galactokinase. Galactose is converted into GAL1P, which by the GALT enzyme, that is galactose 1 phosphate uridyl transferase, is getting converted to UDP-GAL. Fine. These are all the enzymes. Let's read from here. Most common enzyme defect in the galactose metabolism. This will be our, which tyrosinemia was the fourth one, right? So this will be our fifth one, galactosemia. Where is it? Yeah, here. This will be our fifth one. Most common enzyme deficient is the GALT enzyme. Accumulation of galactose 1 phosphate. What are the clinical features? It starts in the neonatal period after initiation of the breastfeeding. Breast milk contains the lactose, which can be converted to galactose. So this is the clinical feature. Galactose is not converted to glucose, which is leading to the hypoglycemia and seizures. Also, there is liver damage leading to hepatomegaly, acute or the chronic liver disease, and cirrhosis. Now coming to kidney, there is also kidney damage. Fanconi-like syndrome, again PCD is affected. In eye there is oil drop cataract seen. There is accumulation of the galactose, which gets converted to the dulcitol, which is deposited in the lens, leading to the cataract. So this dulcitol deposition in the lens is leading to the cataract, that is called as the oil drop cataract. And the cause of death, most common cause of death is what? E. coli sepsis. What are the late complications of this galactosemia? There can be speech defect, delay in the development of the milestones, apraxia, ovarian failure in the female adolescent, that is the delayed puberty, and ovarian failure in the female adolescent leading to delayed puberty. So these are all the late complications of galactosemia. What are they? Speech defect and the ovarian failure. Speech defect leading to delay in the development of the milestones and apraxia, and ovarian failure leading to delayed puberty. Now, what are the investigations that can be done? Benedict's test can be done. Is a test of the urine positive? It will be positive because this galactose is a reducing substance. Confirmatory test. What is the confirmatory test? Is the assay of the GALT and the RBCs. Now, what is the treatment part? Eliminate the galactose from the diet. Breast milk is absolutely contraindicated in these children with galactosemia. No lactose formula or the soy-based formula is advised. Supplementation of the calcium and vitamin D deficiency. Assessment of the compliance is done by the levels of galactose 1 phosphate levels in the RBCs. And if normal, compliant, and if elevated, non-compliant. Fine, so this is the treatment. What we need to do, we need to completely eliminate the galactose from the diet, and breast milk is absolutely contraindicated. No lactose formula, no soy-based formula. Supplement the calcium and vitamin D. Assessment of the compliance is done by the levels of the galactose 1 phosphate, and if normal, compliant, and if elevated, non-compliant. Now coming to the last one, this is the sixth one, that is hereditary fructose intolerance. It is an autosomal recessively inherited. There is defect in what? Fructose 1 phosphate aldose B enzyme deficiency. There is accumulation of the fructose, which is not converted to glucose. Fine, there is accumulation of what? Accumulation of fructose. In fructose, hereditary fructose intolerance, there will be accumulation of fructose, but it is not getting converted to glucose. And there is defect of what? Fructose 1 phosphate aldolase B enzyme. Now moving ahead, the onset of symptoms will be after 6 months, because then only the fructose is introduced in the diet, right? That before that only child is in breast milk, infant is on breast milk, right? characteristic feature, there is self-restriction or aversion to the sweets. In these children, the liver and kidney dysfunction can be seen. There is no cataract formation. Investigation is the urine analysis for the fructose. Confirmatory test is by the aldolase B enzyme assay in the liver tissue. Here we were doing GALT in the RBCs, right? This assay of the GALT in the RBCs, and here final investigation confirmatory is the aldolase B enzyme assay in the liver tissue. And treatment, what is the treatment? Avoid the sucrose, fructose, sorbitol in the diet, and drugs or the vitamins disappear in the sucrose base should be avoided. Dispersed in the sucrose base should be avoided, because yeah, like most of the drugs to sweeten them, it is sucrose is base of that, so they need to be avoided. This was all about miscellaneous, all about this liver disorders, metabolic liver disorders. Thank you.